Hello, everyone. So, for this representation inquiry assignment, I honestly did not have to think about a book twice once I read the directions because I knew right away that I was going to choose The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson, illustrated by Rafael Lopez. This book has been in my classroom shelf for about 3 years, and once I transitioned to my intervention role, it is currently still on top of my shelf. That's how much I read it. It is a New York Times bestseller. The writing is beautiful and the illustrations are just as gorgeous. And every single page is intentional, and I love that about it. So, before I get into the questions, let me just tell you a little bit about the book. So, you know those moments where you walk into a room and you feel like you're the only one who looks like you, talks like you, or bring what you bring? The author catches those feelings and then does something really beautiful with it. Instead of treating the differences like a problem, she turns them into something worth sharing. And at the heart of the book, it's about finding the courage to open up even when you're not sure how people are going to receive you, and realizing that when you do, somebody is usually feeling the same way you feel and ready to meet you right where you are. So, what identities were represented? I feel race is right at the center of this book. Angelina is a young black girl, and her spirit shows up in the texture of her hair, in the way she dressed, and what she said she did during her summer trips, which was watching her sister, while her classmates discussed vacations and multiple trips. Then there is a boy named Rigoberto, who just moved from Venezuela, has not even spoken yet, but he's already terrified of the moment that he has to. He is convinced that the second he says his name and where he's from, people are going to laugh. That fear of being judged before you even open your mouth is something so many children carry and rarely even see in a book. You also have a girl that's feeling self-conscious about her lunch, and you also have a boy that feels not athletic enough to join the teams and join the friends when they are playing. So altogether, you're looking at race, immigration, language, culture, class, and that universal feeling of standing just slightly outside of where everyone else already belongs. So, does this book act as a mirror, a window, or a sliding glass door? I think it does all three. So, for my black students, Angelina is a full mirror. She's not a sidekick, she's the whole story. She's telling everybody her inner world and what she experienced, and I feel like a lot of my kids can definitely touch home with that. And for my ESL students, Rigoberto is a mirror too, because of the feeling of being scared to open your mouth in a room full of people who may not receive you well. Now, as a window, this book does something really special for students who always just felt comfortable. It asks them to sit inside a feeling that is not theirs, and that quiet discomfort of not quite belonging long enough to actually feel it rather than just watch it happen. And as a sliding glass door, it steps all the way through, and it says that every reader belongs in this story. Woodson never lectures. She just shows you what courage looks like and what happens when somebody meets you halfway. And that is why this book works for every child in the room. And that is why I love this book and love to read it every year to my kids. So, who's telling the story and what identities intersect? So, this one is really interesting because Jacqueline actually writes this book in second person, meaning she speaks directly to the reader using the word you. She's not telling you about Angelina from a distance. She's pulling you directly into the experience and saying that this could be you. And this feeling is yours too. That is such an intentional choice because it makes the story feel personal no matter who is holding the book. The identities that intersect in this narrative is race, language, culture, and class. And that shared vulnerability and courage that runs through every single character. And finally, how does this book shape empathy and understanding? I have read this book out loud many times in my classroom, and I can tell you the room shifts when I get to those last pages. The kids who see themselves as Angelina or Rigoberto or someone that's not the most athletic tend to get this quiet look on their face. And it's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it. And then the kids who've never really felt like the outsiders typically lean in, and it just seems like something is clicking to them. So what Jacqueline and the illustrator created in this book does not just lecture anybody about diversity. It just shows the children what it feels like to be brave enough to begin. and what can happen when someone else is brave enough to meet you there. That is the kind of empathy that sticks with the child long after a book and throughout their years. And okay, so that is my representation inquiry. Thank you all for watching. Have a good day.